What's good, Fight family? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night, Benoit St.Denis versus Money Moicano. The whole fight night is pretty stacked. There's a whole lot of fights that are just clear pick'ems in my opinion, just coin flip matchups, and those are some of the best matchups you can get, especially on fight nights. They always seem to deliver. So let's start off with the first fight of the night, Balaji Aki taking on Chris Duncan in the lightweight division. I'm going to be siding with Balaji Aki. Not only does he look like he has a lot more power in his strikes, but he just looks more composed as a fighter in general. Chris Duncan, I did kind of rate him highly, but then he got subbed immediately in round one by Manuel Torres, and Manuel Torres just lost me hundreds of dollars at UFC Noche. So anybody linked to Manuel Torres in any sense of the word immediately irks me. And to get choked out by somebody like that in the first round, although it is a different stylistic matchup, it's honestly... it's a worrying thing for the prospect of Chris Duncan. It's worrying if you trust him moving forward in the lightweight division, which is already stacked as hell. And Balaji Aki is honestly just another showing of that fact. I mean, the kid is young as hell. I think he only has one UFC fight, and I think he's gonna kick off the night pretty strong here. So I'm gonna take Balaji Aki winning this one by a TKO in the second round. And then we move on up the card. Germaine Durandamy taking on Nora Cornoli. Not gonna lie, boys, picking Germaine Durandamy in 2024 just ain't the move. Hold on real quick. Let me just see. Cornoli, oh yeah, she's the girl that, yeah, you know, with grappling, anything is possible against GDR. I kind of want to lean GDR here just because she is so much better on the feet, but she's old as hell. But this other girl's French. The French aren't known for heart. I'm going with GDR. I think she's just gonna look better on the feet and stuff any of the takedown attempts that Nora Cornoli throws her way. We move on up the card. Daniel Perez taking on Victor Altamirano. I thought this fight got taken off for some reason. This is a good fight. Daniel Perez fighting out of Spain. He's one of the new UFC flyweights. I don't even know. Let me just double check real quick if this guy has even fought once in the UFC, because I don't remember him. Oh yeah, he fought. Oh no. Okay, Victor Altamirano is not that bad. But I feel like Buddy's been dropping maybe one too many matchups here in the UFC. If I'm not mistaken, he lost his last fight. I think I am going to have to side with Daniel Perez, although I feel like I need to see a lot more from him to ever trust him against better fighters in the flyweight division. But since it's Victor Altamirano, who is still pretty good, but he keeps dropping decisions to fighters, I think I am going to trust Daniel Perez to get this one done. Let's call it by a decision. I don't think these guys are going to finish each other. We move on up the card. Daria Zelensikova versus Aylin Perez. Zelensiakova. Oh, yeah. Daria Zelensiakova. Honestly, Zelensiakova doesn't look too bad for a female prospect. Only has one loss. But I can't trust anybody against my glorious queen, Aylin Perez. I need her to win all the time. I need her to get her twerk off at the end. Every single time she's on the card. It brings a smile to my face. Moving on up the card. In the lightweight division again, Ludovic Klein taking on Roosevelt Roberts, who I believe is stepping in on short notice for somebody else that Ludovic Klein was supposed to be fighting. Ludovic's sitting at an 8-1 favorite. I don't agree with odds like that, especially when Roosevelt Roberts has shown in the past to be able to get wins that he really shouldn't be able to pull out of his ass. But this is a tough ask. Ludovic Klein is a freak of a striker, and honestly just a freak of a man. The dude's built like an action figure. Roosevelt Roberts would have to have the best night of his life. Boxing, keeping the pressure on Ludovic Klein, maybe mixing in wrestling. But I just feel like even in the wrestling department where Roosevelt Roberts should be better technically, I think Ludovic Klein would just be able to out-explosiveness him, out-muscle him, making up words here. But I do think Ludovic Klein's going to get this one done with his freak physicality by a TKO in the first round. And then we move on up the card to the light heavyweight division. Umar Sy taking on Da Un Young. This is an interesting matchup. I think Umar Sy should pretty handily win it, but Da Un Young does have extremely, extremely heavy hands. He can put the lights out of Umar Sy, who's a relatively untested prospect. We've only seen him one time in the UFC, unless I'm mistaken. So I'm going to be siding with Umar Sy getting this one done. Again, similarly to the other prospect, Balaji Aki at the beginning of the card, Umar Sy just seems like a really put-together prospect. He seems a lot more UFC caliber than half the people you'll see debuting or like in their first couple of fights in the UFC. So I do trust him to get this one done. Minus 500 is a little bit much. Maybe keep it closer to a 2-1 odds. Like, we're trying to make some money off these motherfuckers. God damn. Yeah, no. I don't know how exactly he'll get this fight done. I think it'll probably be by a finish. Let's call it in the second round. I love these mid-round finishes. And let's call it a TKO. Then we move on up the card. Ion Cutelaba taking on Ivan Erslan. Don't know too much about this guy. Was trying to find some film on him. Dude's also built like an action figure, similarly to Ion Cutelaba, who's always bringing that intensity. If I'm not mistaken, Eon's coming off of like a win-loss type thing, right? I know he lost to Leans, called that one. Oh yeah, he beat Boser. See, that's a win I did not expect him to get. Beating Tanner Boser, who's actually kind of underrated at light heavyweight. It is at light heavyweight too, so Eon's not going to be cutting, but I feel like he's better at middleweight. This guy, Ivan Erslan, has a lot of question marks. I'm going to side with Ion Cutelaba. This might bite me in the ass. I'm not going to lie to you, after UFC Noche and a lot of the fight nights this year, my spirit is broken, guys. So I'm not doing as much research as I used to with some of these new and up-and-coming fighters. So yeah, I don't know too much about Ivan. Maybe he's just going to be a freak, but I'm going with Ion Cutelaba. And we're finally in the main card. Opening up in the lightweight division once again. This is a lightweight themed card. Fares Saham taking on Matt Frevola. They got this fight as a pick'em. I think that's honestly good odds. Fares Saham is a lot better technically on the feet. He's better at staying on the outside, better at poking a jab out there, better leg kicks or low kicks in general. More technical grappling, although I'd say Matt Frevola definitely is the better wrestler. Definitely more explosive, probably has better scrambling. Without a doubt, hits harder. The person I think that has more finishing potential is Matt Frevola. And the person that I think that has a better chin is also Matt Frevola. Now, I could see both those facts not mattering, and Fares Saham coming out here, working behind that jab and that low kick like I spoke about, maybe mixing in some grappling, like some blanket Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He could work a game plan like that, and it won't matter that Matt Frevola has certain attributes way higher ranked. I'm going to side on Matt Frevola still. I think that he's going to bring a different level of intensity. He knows he needs to get back in the win column, and I think he's going to be looking for a highlight reel knockout, which he will find. Let's call it in the second round. That's been the theme of the card. Moving on up the card, Morgan Sherrier taking on Gabriel Miranda, who is also stepping in on short notice for, I don't even remember who that was supposed to be taking on Morgan. Morgan Sherrier, 5-1 favorite. Again, don't know why some of these prospects on this card are such big favorites. It's really just to make it so you can't make money betting on them outright on the money line, which is frustrating. But Morgan Sherrier is just so much more technical on the feet. Don't let his 10 losses fool you. He is a lot better than they would suggest. I think Morgan Sherrier is going to come out here and blast Gabriel Miranda and get probably one of the best highlight finishes on the card. I am taking a big risk here. I'm predicting this card to be more finishes than decisions. I think it's going to be one of those types of fight nights where everyone's talking about like, oh, this is why you can't skip fight nights. So yeah, I'm going Morgan Sherrier, getting this one done by a spectacular first round knockout. And we move on up the card. Kevin Jousset taking on Brian Battle. This is a great fight. It's one of those fights I'm talking about where they just have like pick'ems littered throughout the card of actually intriguing matchups. Brian Battle, in my opinion, is just the better prospect at welterweight. He moves more fluidly. Kevin Jousset looks like he's stuck in mud. He still finds ways to get these fights done, but he's also been given low-key layups in his first couple of bouts. I think Brian Battle is going to look better everywhere, honestly. Maybe the only department he might not look as good is just with that straight right hand. I think Kevin Jousset's straight. I don't know if he's a southpaw, so it might be a straight left hand. But I'm pretty sure Kevin Jousset's straight punches are just a lot more crisp than Brian Battle's. God damn. But I think Brian Battle is going to be spamming those hooks. He's going to be spamming heavy leg kicks, going up top, just being more aggressive, and I do think that he's going to find a way to TKO Kevin Jousset. That fight style usually leads towards somebody getting finished. I'm going to hedge Brian Battle, who's the slight favorite here, at, again, almost pick'em odds. Then we move on into the featherweight division. We got William Gomi taking on Joe Anderson Brito. This is a great fight. William Gomi being at plus 215 is, money to anybody that wants to take sizable underdogs, or like not sizable underdogs because he's not that sizable. Anybody that likes betting on decent underdogs that have like more of a chance than your typical underdog. This is one of those fights. William Gomi, I don't think this fight should be a 2-1 favorite because we've seen Joe Anderson Brito give up a lot of moments in the UFC, but he usually comes back and finds a way to get a finish. Reminiscent to the fight that he had with, gosh, what is his name? Not GSP, JSP. I'm forgetting his name right now, but that's his nickname. He was getting out-grappled for like 9 minutes of that fight. And then in the last minute of the second round, he knocks out JSP, which is just honestly perfect. This is what you want to see from a prospect like him. He has heart. He has ridiculous knockout power. He has aggressive Brazilian jiu-jitsu. William Gomi, on the other hand, I think he's better at fighting on the outside. I think he's better at working a game plan than Joe Anderson Brito, who just gets in there and tries to scrap. But I don't think a game plan matters when you're taking on somebody like Joe Anderson. So I do think Joe Anderson is going to find a way to get a finish. But again, I would not be surprised if William Gomi squeaks out like a split decision win, or maybe even like a dominant first and third round win, or first and second round win. I could see that happening. He has the tools to do it. I just think Joe Anderson Brito is a lot more tested, and he's going to come out here and force another finish for his highlight reel. Now we move on to the co-main event of the night. The main event and the co-main event carry this card. Nasruddin Imavov taking on Brendan Allen. So we've got top 5 ranking at stake in the middleweight division. Brendan Allen has been looking amazing as of recent. Nasruddin Imavov has looked good, but his break into the top 15 was honestly like a hand me by the ref. When he was fighting Jared Cannonier, he rocked Jared. Jared was still on his feet. And after we've seen Jared's last fight, we know he would have survived that. It was like 2-2 going into the 5th. So it was just honestly such a disappointing way for somebody like Jared, who's that old, to lose that fight. And it was disappointing for somebody who's young and up and coming like Nasruddin to win a fight like that, getting him into the top 15 or top 5, because nobody's really validating it, including me. Now, this win right here over Brendan Allen will make people feel a little bit better about Nasruddin being up there if he can get it done, but it still doesn't really justify being in the top 5. Now, Brendan Allen, on the other hand, he's been on the type of streak where him beating somebody like this and breaking into the top 5 would seem warranted, as long as there's no weird shit happening, right? Brendan Allen has better wrestling. Brendan Allen has better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brendan Allen has a better gas tank. But does Brendan Allen have the tools to beat Nasruddin? Even with all those things I just listed, I don't know if he does. I think you need to have really, really good striking to get the respect of Nasruddin. And I think if you don't have elite level striking, eventually he's going to find a way to start landing heavy on you, setting up kicks. He's a very cerebral fighter. He has good grappling himself, honestly. I just know that Brendan Allen is a lot more tested down there. And Brendan Allen probably comes from a wrestling background, which helps you so much in this game. I've been going back and forth for months since this fight was announced. A big part of me wants to side of Brendan Allen because he is a dog, and he's been on such a win streak beating people that in certain cases I didn't think he could even get the fights done. But I do feel like I have to side with Nasruddin Imavov, who is just a lot better on the feet. There's a reason he's a -2-1 favorite. Brendan Allen at 200 underdog is really good money, especially if you're a Brendan Allen fan, because he just always seems to cash in. But I do think I'm going to have to side with Nasruddin Imavov, getting this one done, probably by a TKO in like the 2nd or 3rd round. I think he's going to come out there and start to immediately win the leg kick game and win the cage control game. And I think that's too important of a game against somebody like Nasruddin. And if Brendan Allen isn't able to immediately get himself in the fight, establish some sort of pressure or control, it usually doesn't bode well for him. Look at the Sean Strickland fight. It's funny, both these guys share a loss to Sean Strickland because in ways Sean Strickland's game is the counter to both of them. But yeah, Brendan Allen isn't Sean Strickland. So I'm going to side with Nasruddin Imavov getting this one done by a 2nd or 3rd round TKO. I guess if I have to put my money where my mouth is, I'm going to call late 2nd round. Then we move on, main event of the night. Money Moicano taking on Benoit St.Denis. Both of them sitting right outside the top 10 rankings at lightweight. Winner of this gets to find themselves climbing up the rankings. The loser of it, I imagine, will have another fight similar to this one with somebody that's just outside or in the bottom 15. Money Moicano, it's like they're just not learning, is now a +225. And with what we saw against Dustin Poirier from Benoit St.Denis, I don't know why. I genuinely, I don't know why. And I picked Benoit St.Denis to win that fight. He was looking good in the grappling department. He wasn't looking good on the feet. I actually think Money Moicano could time the hands on Benoit and maybe hurt him on the feet with how reckless he can get. Now, Benoit has more knockout potential, but we haven't seen Renato really get hurt by anybody on the feet except for Rafael Fiziev. And even that fight kind of looked like maybe it was stopped a bit early because he got dropped bad, but he was still conscious, I guess. You know what I mean? He wasn't put out cold. I don't think Benoit St.Denis has it in him. I think Moicano is on a crazy streak. I think he means it every time he says he fucking needs money and he wants these bonuses and he's coming to take everybody's heads. I believe it. I know in my heart that he knows he gets the Paddy Pimblett fight if he wins this one. All of us know it. And I know he knows what that means for his career and his bank account and his family's lives. So I'm going to trust Money Moicano with all of this, everything that's riding on this win. I think he's going to rise to the occasion and find a way to finish Benoit St.Denis, whether it's by a knockout or a submission. If you're playing it smart, I would just prop this by Money Moicano finish. If you want to play it even smarter, just bet him, because 2-1 on the money line for him to just win is really good money. If he loses it, fuck, now I'm down another main event, and you know, that's how it's been the majority of the year. But if you can get this one done, it's a solid underdog win, and your boy's gonna be making money. So yeah, that's gonna be all for today's video. Let me know who you guys have for your picks down below, and I'll catch y'all.